welcome to our... Oh, I started too early. Welcome everybody to our Facebook, Instagram and YouTube live stream coming to you from the British Council Teaching English. My name is Karen and I'm here with Naomi, and today we are going to be talking all about managing the lesson, which is our current theme for January, February and March. And we're already almost a month in to our theme. So today we're going to be talking about what is managing the lesson and what has everybody been talking about, the hot topics that have engaged you on our social media platforms. So managing the lesson, first of all, everybody say hi and tell us where you're joining from across all the platforms. So Naomi, managing the lesson, what exactly is it?
Gosh, well, it's quite a lot of different things. It's a lot of things that you might do before you start class and things that you might do during class. So you've got like creating an inclusive and supportive environment for your learners, then giving clear instructions, making sure they understand what's going on, make sure they understand the materials, pace and timing and transitions, that's a big one as well. So it's a lot of like, if you're in the theatre almost, it's like the stage directions and what the director's telling you to do.
Oh, that's a really good analogy. Yeah, sort of all the sort of background thing that goes into the production being successful and, in the top charts.
Exactly, yeah, because there's a couple more here. And so there's like adjusting the physical environment and using resources. So that's like getting your stage set up and your props.
Yes, exactly. And I suppose also managing all the background, the scenes and making sure everybody has what they need in a lesson. Oh, I like that theatre. I like that theatre analogy. We might be using that throughout.
Excellent. It just came to me in a whim.
Like the best ideas do. I mean, I suppose it sort of links a little bit to our previous theme on planning lessons and courses and planning lessons. And this is sort of going another bigger one, looking at a bigger picture from start to finish. Yeah.
Exactly. So we've got some great people joining us here. Just saying hello to everyone in the chat there. So on Facebook, we've got Sarah in the Philippines, we've got Raja in Algeria, Deepthi in Sri Lanka, John in the Philippines, and then we've got lots of people joining us on Instagram. If you're joining us on Instagram, we've got Heba from Jordan, and have we got anyone else? We've got someone from Kazakhstan, Zelda from Turkey, Irame from Indonesia, anyone else who said where they're from? Taj from Pakistan.
Marilyn from Paraguay. Wonderful. So welcome everybody. And there's Emily from Sri Lanka as well. So managing the lesson, lots and lots and lots of different aspects around it, as you've outlined, Naomi, like in the big production of a theatre, and we are the directors as teachers. So over the last month, what have teachers been talking about?
Well, we did ask teachers what some of the biggest issues they face with managing the lesson are. And a lot of them talked about large classes, mixed ability classes, engagement as well. Engagement was a big one. Parental involvement too.
Parental involvement. Oh, interesting. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, we actually had a question about that from Santosh, and we asked that question out to our audience, and we got some really interesting responses. And I thought one of them about parental involvement that was particularly interesting was suggesting that parents don't show interest because they maybe feel inadequate or are unable to help with English, because if they don't speak English themselves, then perhaps they think, oh, I don't know this subject. How can I help my child in this? But I think if you speak to those parents and tell them actually they don't need to speak English, they need to provide this was a quote from Maria, and Maria said, tell parents they don't need to speak English to help. Their role is to provide a positive environment and ask questions like, what new words did you learn today? And that shifts the pressure off of them. I thought that was lovely advice.
That is really nice. I mean, I'm not a parent, but my siblings are, and sometimes listening to them talking about how they help their kids with their homework. Sometimes, if the kids are asking, and they come to me and go, "I don't really know about this topic," but that's really good advice, just to sort of encourage your kids and help them along the way. I've got a question for you, Naomi, here
Yes.
from Tanvir. Are you the person who replies to us?
Yes, yes, that's me. I'm there typing away in the comments every morning.
Yeah,
and I love chatting with you all there.
It's great. Good.
Yes.
Okay, here's one from Sarah. Do you see this one from Sarah?
I
I'd
was
like
just
to
going to
speak to you
say,
next time about. Yeah, go on.
Quick one first. Wise man in Algeria asking, what's the topic? We're talking
excellent.
about managing the classroom and everything that managing the classroom involves.
Managing the lesson. Yes,
Oh,
here's
managing
another
the
one.
lesson, not managing the lesson.
That's okay. Well, it is also
the
managing the classroom and managing the lesson. And involved in that is Sarah's question about classroom management. So this is also connected, and we'll be talking about that today. So Naomi, you were talking about that teachers have been talking about how to involve parents, or managing the relationship with parents. Teachers watching, have you got any advice on working with parents? Because that's quite a key component in making the students sort of come to class ready, doing the homework as well. What else have teachers been talking about?
Yes, we'd love to hear from you. Pop it in the chat, anything. Let me just put the question up.
I'll show some. Here's, we've got Libya and Azerbaijan and Morocco. Wonderful.
Oh, okay. We've got someone here, Priyanka on Instagram, saying times and constraints for working professionals. Yes. I think that timing is a huge part of managing the lesson. It's something we can plan beforehand, but things always come up, things change within class. So managing that can be really tricky. Has anyone got any advice out there for how you manage timings in class?
I mean, I think there's sort of two aspects of that, aren't there? There's the time planning, and then there's the time in the class. So the time planning, I know that I always plan way too much because I panic about running out of things, which never happens because it always takes longer than you think. But managing the timing in the class, connected to timing and pace, I know that I've had a tendency to go quite slowly at the beginning, partly because I worry about running out of things. And the other aspect around timing and pace is often around teacher talk time.
Yes.
And, just stepping back and letting the students sort of get on with their lessons, get on with the tasks.
I know when I was a new teacher, I felt like I had to be talking all the time. I felt like that was my role, was to impart information to the learners. So I talked far too much. And then when I took a step back and looked, I realized they don't have time to think. They don't have time to work while you're talking. So you need to give them that space. You need to give them that time and just shut up sometimes.
Yes. I mean, I often think that the hard work of the teacher is done before the lesson, in the planning, looking at the stages and where you might, digress a little bit. And then in the classroom, hopefully, like the theatre director, the play just goes by itself. And all of the director's job is beforehand and in the background. We've just got a quick question here from Miss Ismahan. From Facebook, do you have a TikTok account or an Instagram?
We do have an Instagram account, and you can find us over on Instagram under teachingenglish.britishcouncil.
So hope you find us there. We'll be live streaming there too.
Yes.
So
we have another question here.
Yes, go on.
It's going to pop up. And I think this one is, do you think student numbers can affect class management? And absolutely.
Absolutely. And, interestingly, like I've taught classes of, 60, 70, 80, and also
Mm,
one-to-one, and also classes of 5 or 10 or 12. And
mm,
sometimes I've found the in a huge class, if you've got your routines and all the sort of everything in place, the classroom management is not so much the problem. It's the grouping and noise
mhm,
can be more of a problem than like discipline. And sometimes in a smaller class, there's more space for kids to run around or distract each other. So I think it definitely, the more
mm.
students you have, it can become quite difficult, sort of, seating layouts, planning different ways of interacting and getting speaking practice in particular. What do you
Absolutely,
think?
yeah. Yeah, I think so too. And I think actually sometimes it's the medium-sized classes where you have more like disruptive issues sometimes. Because a large class, I feel like there's almost a certain number at which everyone kind of behaves better. I don't know why that is, but I think sometimes it's the middle and smaller classes because everyone's always engaged because it's so small. There's less, but there's medium-sized classes. I often find the issues can be a bit trickier. They're more likely to come out because people feel like they're not getting enough attention, perhaps, or yeah, I'm not quite sure what the answer to that is.
So very interestingly, there was some research done by an academic, a Spanish academic who's based in the UK, and she did some research on the gap between teacher training and the classroom and the reality of the classroom.
Yes.
And one of the things that she found out was that teacher training often doesn't cover classroom management behavioral issues. And so teachers get into the classroom and go, oh, I don't really know how to manage the class. I don't really know how to deal with the noise or disruption or distraction or bad behavior. And she was trying to investigate, like, why is that the case? And often it's because there's no one single solution. And so it's difficult to put into a teacher training program because all the situations are different, the sizes, the expectations, the culture, the interest of the students, the experience of the teacher. So I thought that was quite interesting, which doesn't really help. How do you manage the class?
No, but it was fascinating to hear. Yes,
it's fascinating. It helped me realize that, when I struggle with managing the class, I'm like, well, it's not really my sort of fault of lack of training because it wasn't covered. So it's something that I need to practice and try different methods to see what happens. And there's a few things that work, but I want to jump back into the comments because they're flooding in. And there was something back here. This one here from John. How do you manage students in the classroom? No quick answer.
No, I mean, I think one general thing that I think is works quite well, particularly I think for large classes or very young learners, is having very clear routines.
Yes.
And I think, like particularly with large classes, using the same type of activities over again, so students or learners understand what's expected of them, so that you don't have to spend a lot of time organizing everything. So I think routine can be really, really helpful.
I think that's absolutely the case. Routine, and especially if students aren't used to working together, or you have a classroom that you can't really move around a lot in, getting students to talk to their partner, talk to the person behind them, talk to the person on the other side, gets them into a routine of knowing, this is the moment that I talk to my friend. And now this is the moment that I listen to the teacher. Now this is the moment that I do something on paper. Helps them know sort of what to expect at each stage in the lesson.
Yes. Yeah, I completely agree.
Now, suggestions for the right way of managing large classes. I love teaching large classes.
You are a rare breed.
Yes, I am a rare breed. But I think teachers watching, any tips for large classes? For me, it's all, like you were saying, Naomi, it's all about structure and routines, and having very, very sort of almost quite strict plan, where you're following the sort of similar kinds of things so that everybody knows what to do. Another thing in a large class, if there's any space to move to the back and move to the front, because in a large class, the last half of the class might not be able to hear or see very well. And so if you go to them, that gives them a little bit more motivation to go, oh, I'm noticed. And another one is using the students as your assistants. So if you've got like 80 kids, 80 students, and you've got groups of 8, you have 10 groups, one person from each group comes to you and gets the instructions to then take back to their group and follow and sort of, manage their group on their own, so that you're giving this, you need to use the students to help you in a large class.
Yeah, and I think that's another point you just brought up there. In large classes, if you're going to do communicative activities, doing them in groups, because then you can get the students into manageable numbers for the activity, and as you said, have a group leader who has the instructions. Such a good idea.
Yes, absolutely. Here's Radcha has very large classes. I taught large classes, and they aren't always challenging comparing to a difficult learner you have in a small group. Exactly. It's often related to the teacher's character. The teacher's character, or also what you're doing in the class. Sometimes if your book, you have to follow the book, and it's trying to bring that book alive for the students.
Yeah,
lots of questions about large classes.
Yeah, because I think that's one of the things, actually, when we talk about motivation in engagement of students, is making the topics relevant to them, making it interesting to them. But when you're sticking to a textbook, that can actually be a challenge in itself, because you have to stick to the syllabus. And so it's how far can you stretch it to include the learner's interests and include the learner's preferences.
I mean, a quick way of doing that is at the end of the unit or the page or the section is say, okay, now talk about yourself using this grammar or using this vocabulary, make a few sentences in your groups, plan together, and they can do that in their own language. It doesn't have to be if English is a barrier, but the sentences that they produce, and then you elicit from different groups some sentences, and some of the others can then go, oh, we got the same. No, we have a different one. So I think that's a way of, a little sort of 5-minute personalization at the end of a lesson.
Such a good idea.
Here's an idea from Wiseman. I like working with large classes because it's challenging for me. Yes, and me too. It's good. I always try to invest their noise. I turn it into positive behavior by introducing activities that help them to be active along the lesson. Yes, exactly. Sort of making it interesting and a bit of energy. And connected to that, here's one. Yes, here. From Tanvir, Naomi and Karen, thank you so much. You're welcome. Thanks. My question is, what are some quick techniques to re-engage students when energy drops mid-lesson? Excellent question. Yeah, excellent question. Like, the fact that you're noticing that is already a really good sign. When you can sort of feel the energy going down. Any ideas, Naomi? Teachers watching? Any ideas?
I mean, I always think, changing to a different type of activity. So if they're all sitting down, get them to do a mingle, get them to do a board game, a little vocabulary game, just something that has a little bit of energy to it. So if there was some vocabulary in the lesson, do a board race for that, perhaps, if your classroom could manage that, or just a little spoken mingle might work as well. Just anything to get them moving so they're not sitting looking at their books the whole time.
Yes, and I think that movement is key. I remember reading a while back, I think it was during the pandemic, of somebody talking about movement snacks and doing a movement snack. And so, it can be stand up and stretch, or point to 5 things that are blue. Or choose a word and you say the word, like stand up, say the word really loudly and then really quietly and then sit down. Very short, very quick, but as soon as you move a little bit, the blood starts flowing more, and it's, how high can you stretch? How far can you stretch your arms, for example? So I think those are some of them.
Yeah.
There's lots of people who enjoy large classes. We've got different
Yay.
student levels and we have to deal with all of them. I think the number is not the problem. I also love to teach large classes. Yes, I'm quite a fan, but it's mostly because the challenge and solving the problem is quite satisfying, and doing a class where you've managed to get everybody talking and engaged and moving up, you get your steps in, moving up and down the classroom.
Oh my gosh, you certainly do get your steps in, don't you?
Yeah. You really do. This is a good one from Raj, I think. Familiarize learners with instructions.
Yes. I think, that's, again, part of setting the routine as well. It's having very clear instructions. And I think that's, again, part of managing the lesson is the proactive part, what you do before you go into class. I know someone mentioned about this earlier, about how, I'm really sorry, the comment was so many comments, we can't I can find it again. But they were saying how planning is such an important part of managing the lesson and what you do beforehand. And so it's planning those, sorry, I've completely lost track of what I was talking about.
Oh, that's okay. That was just the Friday fun that I posted about, teacher moments.
Yes, I had a
planning
teacher
beforehand around
instructions, wasn't it?
Instructions.
Yeah. Yes. So you might even want to, in your lesson plan, write out the instructions and think about how you can do them in the simplest, clearest way. I often like to do that. Once you get into the habit of it, you perhaps don't need to write them down anymore. But at the beginning, it can just be really, really helpful to make sure that your instructions are super clear.
And I often get a student to summarize back in their own language the instruction.
Yes.
Great. I have a kind of, every class I start, I like, who's my translator for today? And students take it in turns to translate, just so that I know that they've got it. And then for some of them who might say they get it but don't, we've got a question here which I think we might not have time to answer now. Struggle with controlling some of the students. I thought of changing places, but other students do not accept the changes. I don't know what to do. I think this would make a good post to get some community advice.
Definitely, absolutely.
On this one.
Yes. I think we should ask our audience that, and you'll get plenty of different thoughts.
Lots of different ideas. I mean, a quick one. It's sort of around setting the expectations at the beginning of the class of, I will move you around and it won't be forever. And you might be working in a group that you don't know, but try it and we can move you back later. Or having a seating plan of this is who the groups are today and you change it each day. But I think it goes back to how you set everything up at the beginning of the term. I know for me, I've missed things for classroom management, and it's difficult to undo it later. So sort of getting it right at the beginning.
This actually this brings me to this comment I was wanting to pull up. At the beginning of the year, the teacher must set rules that must be respected, like agreeing on a specific chart. So helps the teacher to manage the classes and the students to respect each other. And I really like that about respecting each other, because rules shouldn't just be rules for rules' sake. They should be there to make the classroom a better place for everyone.
Exactly. And I think that goes back to, setting the scene, setting the stage and the expectations, which is around a classroom contract or ground rules or class sort of, classroom rules that I don't know. Teachers watching, do you have classroom rules or ground rules or a contract or some sort of discussion at the beginning of how you want the class to be? I mean, it's a bit difficult with very low primary, with 6-year-olds, but still they have some ideas, and it's also can be done in your own languages as well. I think you had a good comment about that.
I did. Yes, one of our audience in the chat on the post. Ed said most classroom rules make more sense when you shift them from do what you're told to let's look after the space together. It's less about sitting still or following orders and more about sharing the room fairly, giving everyone a chance to speak, and choosing behaviours that help the whole group learn. So when students have a say, cooperate and self-manage, the classroom runs better than when everything is enforced from the top down. So I thought I liked that.
That's it's a sort of like collaborative agreement, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So it's connect. Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, so would that be more of a classroom contract than classroom rules, would you say?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, a sort of classroom agreement, a classroom contract. My question around that, which people are starting to talk about already, and I'll bring some comments up, is what happens when students don't follow your agreement? Because you get excited in the moment, or something's happened in the class before, or you're worried about something afterwards, or you haven't had enough to eat, or you've just eaten too much sugar. And so we've got one here from Nisa. What do you think of giving punishment to the students who don't want to speak English? Or broader than that is, how do we feel about punishment? And Marie has answered, punishment just makes them hate learning. Be patient and make your teaching more fun. I think other things that I've done, and teachers watching, let us know what you do, is if there's a moment during group work, is to take a student aside and just have a quiet word, because we don't know what's going on with them. And so to be saying, what are the barriers? You know, you don't want to speak English. Is it because of the group you're in? You don't know enough words, you feel shy, you're a bit embarrassed, or what is it? And then, you know, is there anything I can do to help? And then try some different regroupings, try some different activities. One thing I've done that to help students sort of get the feel of English in their mouth is some choral repetition of sentences in different voices, and it just helps students not sort of speak by themselves in front of others. They can do it collectively. That sort of helps a little bit at times.
And another thing, I think if students are kind of shy and feel awkward about speaking, getting them to record themselves on their phones if they have them, or a little voice recorder, can also help some of the shyer students speak out as well, because then they don't feel like they're putting themselves out there in front of everyone. It's kind of more private.
Exactly. And wow, this is like so many. Yes, here's lots and lots of comments. There's a question here from Doan, talking about a class of 12 to 15-year-olds grouped by language proficiency, but in terms of the reactions and feelings, they're so different. So some activities can fit and others don't. Yep, I've had that with my teenagers. Some things that I've thought are going to be amazing, some of them love it and some of them don't. And I think, I don't know, what do you think, Naomi?
I mean, it can be hard to please everyone all the time. I think that's something we have to accept, that some students our learners will love some activities and others will be crazy for other ones.
I remember reading somewhere, it was somebody who gave a talk about classroom management. And one of the things that she said in it was, don't take it personally. And that really struck me, because when I do an activity that hasn't worked that well, I put a lot of pressure on myself. It's my fault. What did I do wrong? And sometimes it can work on one day and not on another day. So I think, you know, and some things work with some students and don't with others. And so we can't please everybody, and sort of taking that on board and maybe switching it a different time for things that interest some of the other students. And quite often the students report back that they do enjoy the lessons, even if we think they don't. So just to be kind to ourselves at times.
Oh, definitely. That's such good advice. Because everything isn't going to work all the time. We're humans. Our learners are humans. So things are going to sometimes not go right.
They are. That's very true. That's very true.
Now we have a question here on Instagram that I think might be interesting to. So Mingli has a small number of students, but it's challenging to maintain a positive atmosphere as they're teasing and giggling for the whole session. Can we give her some advice?
Oh, that's hard.
It's hard. I think it's trying to find out what they're interested in, talk to them, get to know them better. And I think, maybe try pairing them up in different ways, perhaps. So they're talking to maybe someone who they're not giggling with so much.
Yeah. I mean, I think, definitely. In some of my classes, when the students start doing that, it's often because they are either not following or don't understand, or it's too slow. The pace is too slow. Pacing. So keeping things moving along as sort of so that they're all engaged and busy. But I think it also goes back to the classroom contract that you do at the beginning. So is that behavior acceptable in my classroom? Is it the time? And some sort of, like emotional, is it emotional intelligence? Yeah. Work on how does that feel for other people? And how does that feel for me? And how do you feel when other people do it? And just to help the students realize the impact of what they're doing on others.
Yes,
can be an interesting conversation. And maybe it's also just pulling them aside at the end of the lesson and asking them some questions and just sort of reinstating this is how we operate in this space. There's one, yes.
Pull up a comment on screen here that I thought was perfect. I teach 3 classes and have different approaches in managing them. What works for one doesn't mean it works for the others. Classroom management is really hard, but as long as you get to know your learners, it'll get better. Couldn't agree more.
Absolutely. And this one from Raja as well. With teenagers, putting oneself in learners' shoes can help involve as many as possible. It's natural to have some who won't be interested. There is an age to prove that they're independent. So we need to remember that teenagers are going through a lot themselves. And again, it's not personal. They're having a growing up phase. And yes.
Yeah,
I think that's, fantastic. There's so many amazing ideas here, Naomi, with so many wonderful comments.
And we're running out of time.
And we're running out of time, but I was going to ask you, teachers watching, you might have seen some videos from our community on our social media channels, sharing videos of tips and what they've learned and ideas. And there's so many ideas here that maybe some of you want to send us a video of your ideas.
I just put the link in the chat there.
Wonderful. So Naomi, how do people do that?
Okay. So you go to our website and you'll find all the guidance for how on that page I've just shared there. And Instagram, if you go to our profile and then click on the Linktree link in our profile in our profile bio, it's I think the 3rd or 4th link down there. So go to that page on our website. It'll give you all the details about how to submit the video, what length, etc. And we've been loving seeing these stories from our audience. They're so fantastic. These ideas, so many great ideas. And we love seeing you talking because you see us talking up here, and now we get to see you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's also, we have a couple of courses running at the moment on, what are they again? They are
managing learners and resources and organising the classroom. And I'll pop those 2 into the chat as well. Again, on Instagram, go into our Linktree and it's in the top 4 links there, the page for all our courses. But these look at an awful lot of things to do with classroom management. I've just realised that for YouTube, those links are too long.
Oh, the links do. Yes. Well, you can also find them on our website under training tab.
Yes. So go to www.teachingenglish.org.
Wonderful.
And then
wonderful.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to finish on this note here from Isuken. Thanks for all ideas. They will be of great help. So Isuken, let us know what happens in your classroom. So, my goodness, time has flown by, Naomi. It's that was such a great chat. There's so many more comments and so much more to talk about. But don't worry, we will be back. I will be back next Friday with Fatiha, who gave a webinar, did a webinar last week on how to manage a noisy classroom. So I will be talking to her next Friday. Check our socials. We'll be doing that on Facebook, streaming to YouTube and Instagram as well. So I'll see you next Friday, and we will have more live events over the next few months.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for such amazing comments and ideas. It's lovely chatting with you all.
Bye, everybody.
And have a great weekend.
Have a lovely weekend. Bye.
Bye.